and welcome to Moments with Mahika. Today I wanted to talk about dysregulation. Dysregulation is something I've been talking about last few weeks, going back to the anger versus overwhelm. They're all kind of intertwined with dysregulation. So first question is, what is dysregulation? Dysregulation is basically when you cannot control or you have the inability to control your emotions or your emotional response. And many times this is intertwined with overwhelm because you are being bombarded by so many different pressures, expectations, that you are no longer in control of how you emote. So you are no longer in control of, the positive, the negative, all the swings, all of those things. They are just kind of happening to you and you don't have a way to stop it. And so today I want to talk to you about my top tips to overcome dysregulation. Now, overcoming dysregulation can be a very complex process. And so a few of these tips I'm just going to touch on very lightly, but don't worry, I will be digging into them more deeply in the upcoming days and weeks. So my first tip is to recognize and acknowledge the emotions that you're going through. We tend to feel that these emotions are bad. We give them that label that they are not wanted, that they are not good for me. But these are all valid emotions and we have to acknowledge them. Something I like to do is just keep a journal or a notepad nearby. And when I'm feeling those emotions, just jot them down. Like, today I'm feeling very at unease because of X, Y, and Z that happened. And what this helps you do is to kind of develop those trends and really understand, hey, when this goes wrong, when this goes, haywire, I tend to feel this feeling of overwhelm and dysregulation. I feel very dysregulated. So the first step to overcoming that dysregulation is to better understand why it happens in the first place. My next tip is to practice certain grounding techniques because we have to find ways not only to recognize it, but also to cope with it. So I found grounding techniques to be very helpful. Certain things I really enjoy doing are deep breathing. I also like to, it's not just, wherever I am, I deep breathe. There has to be a certain, mindfulness behind the practice. And many times, the perfect environment is not available to us. But over the course of the day, you have a time where maybe you're at home, you can sit on the floor, you can lie down, you can get into child's pose and do the deep breathing, because in those specific positions of how we're sitting, how we're lying down, can enable us to really take those deep breaths that help us calm down and be more grounded in our emotions. My next tip is to develop a self-care routine. And this is really just going to be whatever works for you, but whatever helps you relax. Some examples would be maybe going for a walk, reading a book, taking a hot bath or a shower, or just getting on the phone and talking to a good friend to vent, to really share what it is that you're going through and release those emotions from inside of you. So whatever that is for you, get into a habit of bringing it into your routine, whether it's once a week, once a day, but make that time for it and schedule it in so that you make sure you always are feeling a little more even-keeled during your day-to-day activities. My next tip is to create a supportive environment. Now, this could be a variety of people that you lean upon, but also your physical environment. It could be simple little things on your desk that you keep that, maybe it's picture frames, pictures of your family or of your friends, or maybe of a place you visited, so it can help you invoke that feeling, that emotion when you visited that place or when you were with these people. Or it could just be little crystals that you keep on your desk, something to help clear your mind and help you feel more centered. Now, what I don't mean is to cover your desk in a variety of tchotchkes because, that might work for some people, but other people may find that to be too cluttered. So find a balance that works for you, but create that environment. I personally like to have music playing, whether it is soft instrumental or classical music. Sometimes I just prefer white noise. I'm really trying to focus and get stuff done. I don't want to hear anything going on around me. So I will play white noise or brown noise. It's just noise that's there, but there's really no variation to it. And that really helps me focus. I find when I turn that off, I start hearing, I become more in tune with the sound of the air coming out of the vents. Not even realizing that sounds like that really just take me off balance. So create that environment that works best for you. Now this tip is a little bit harder to digest, but sometimes you just need professional help, whether it is in the name of a doctor or a therapist or a mental health specialist, someone who can guide you through your feelings, through your emotions, and really help you become more regulated. Because depending on how severe it is, it may not just be one of those self-help type of issues. And and this differs by person, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. If it can help you overcome dysregulation, become the best version of yourself or a better version of yourself, then anything is worth trying. So if that's the route that you need to go on, don't feel bad about it, and just, check it out, see if it's something that is worth exploring further. And my last tip for you is to practice self-compassion. Be kind to yourself and give yourself grace, because many times we find that we are our own harshest critic, and we are the toughest on ourselves. And it's not fair. It's not fair, and I found that I actually do more harm when I am really tough on myself and I don't give myself that grace, versus when I give myself that grace and allow myself to make those mistakes and say, you know what, it's okay, that was then, this is now, I'm gonna get past it. Because at the end of the day, our goal is to, acknowledge that whatever we had done was maybe not the best route. But our goal is to get past that and move on so that we can improve ourselves. And I find that when you do beat yourself up, it takes a lot longer for you to recover and to get back on track. Whereas if you give yourself grace, if you are compassionate with yourself, it allows you, it basically gives you permission to get back on track sooner and in a better mental state, without feeling that level of fear that, you know what, next time I make that mistake, gosh, I'm gonna have to go into the depths of despair again. And it doesn't have to be that way. You don't have to do that to yourself. So those are some of my tips for helping you overcome dysregulation. And again, I really want to drive home the point that being dysregulated is not a bad thing. It is a very common, natural thing, because of the way that, the society that we live in. We wear a lot of different hats. We have a lot of different responsibilities. There are little humans that depend on us, not only for their survival, but, for all of their other needs. And so if we want to be our best self for all of these hats that we wear, all of these different roles that we have, then we owe it to ourselves to not only accept that dysregulation will come our way, but that we have control to get around it, to overcome it. And I hope these tips are something that you can incorporate into your routines, and that will help you overcome that dysregulation. So thank you so much for sharing this moment with me.